Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys. I'm Lorne.
And I'm Michael.
We're back. Sunny day in Vegas. It's beautiful.
Sorry, I was eager.
You're eager?
I am eager.
He's excited to talk some true crime, guys.
I am.
I want to thank the whole true crime community once again. It just continues to blow us away, the support we're getting and how fast the show's growing. It's like a freight train off the rails, dude. It's just plowing.
We just plowing
through the dirt. You would think it would start to slow down once it's off the track.
Blowing rocks everywhere.
Why do they say it's off the tracks like that's going to make it go?
Yeah, I think it would just fall over.
Right? It would slow to a stop, I would think. Or fall
Well,
over.
this train is still on the track.
This train
And
is on
we're
the tracks
still
and full
heading
speed
your way.
ahead. Gun it to 88. Let's give some mentions and stuff to people supporting us. We really appreciate all that, all the love.
All right.
On social medias and
guys,
stuff.
we're trying to get to as many of these as we can. We don't want to take up the whole podcast with shouts, which is a great problem to have.
Some people
love you
it's
guys.
a first world
for
problem to
reaching
have.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, freaking awesome. So you want me to start with Facebook?
So if we leave you out, we're sorry, but we still love you and we appreciate your feedback and all that stuff. But we're gonna try and mention as many as we can real quick without taking half an hour to do it. So
Right, exactly.
Michael, hit it. Let's
All
go.
right.
Go.
Facebook, John S. He's a new listener. He said, great podcast, and he gave up TV to listen, and we are like the Wally and Beaver of the internet.
Okay. Kind of insulting, but okay.
You're not a Beaver fan?
Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, doesn't that just mean we're like goofy, old school hick?
Well,
I don't know.
they were on the TV for a long time.
I
think if we're half as famous, if we're a fraction of as famous as they are, then that's a success.
That's true. That was when TV had like 3 channels. There's
Well,
way more stuff that you
Leave
could
It
be
to Beaver
listening
was
to.
on all 3.
No, I guess it's a compliment. I mean,
It is
they
definitely a
were
compliment.
nice. The Beavers were good people.
Thank you, John. Lauren doesn't know how to
The
take
Cleavers,
a
I
damn compliment.
guess, not Beavers. The Cleavers were good
Cleavers. Anyways, Lindsay L. Thanks for fueling her. She said, thanks for fueling her sock knitting binges. And she also said, next time Guar is in Las Vegas, she can get us in.
Guar?
Yeah.
The band, the metal band?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know her relation to it. I didn't ask you, Lindsay, for some reason. I should have.
I would love to see Guar. I heard
Maybe you have
their
a
live shows
boyfriend
are
or a
awesome.
husband in Guar or something.
I heard their live
Cool.
shows are awesome. They like spray blood and all kinds of other stuff I'm not going to mention onto the crowd.
What?
It's a crazy
fine.
show from what I've
It's
heard.
fine. We can deal with that. Two Dogs Dean, the artist known as Dean Walker. We used his song.
Michael is the biggest fan of.
I'm the biggest fan of him
Two
right
Dogs
now.
Dean. I was
Yeah.
going to say he's not your biggest fan. You're his biggest fan.
Yeah, for sure. Dean Walker.
No, we played some of his music last week, so we
Yeah.
forgot to mention it on the show, but we did put it in the description.
Yeah.
Definitely go check out his album and stuff. And that interlude music we played last week, leading into Aileen Part 1,
Yeah.
that was his music. And
Yeah,
that
it was a song called Bombs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's pretty cool. Got a cool album. Maria M, she said, just starting listening this week, and we shot up her list of favorites.
am I tripping, or do we have like a lot of Marias listening to the show? I feel like we
do.
have at least 3 that I can think of that have reached out. And then if you're
Yeah.
a Marie that hasn't reached out, let us know.
Yeah.
We can start like the Maria Creeper
Maria-
group.
The
Creeper
special
Marias.
All right, so we got some new sticker holders.
Dun,
No creepers.
Sticker holder.
No crepes. All right. Tammy in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thank you. Melixa in Interlochen, Michigan. We call it.
I'm saying Interlochen. Do you say Interlochen?
I said Interlochen earlier, and you said Interlochen.
Interlochen sounds like some kind of a monster from a.
You said Interlochen.
No, I said Interlochen.
God damn it, no, you didn't. Anyways, Interlochen, Michigan.
Shout out to Bill Burr.
Michelle Filmer. Charlotte from Kearns, Utah. Sarah from Lincoln, Nebraska. Matt in Houma, Louisiana.
Okay.
Elizabeth, Oceanside, California. Now, this was an interesting one. She said that if we mention her, she
Just might.
just might name her unborn child after one of us.
I'm not gonna lie. The way you said this. What's her name again?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. The way you said it sounded a little. Just the way it was worded when I first read it, it seemed creepy to me. But I love it. It's awesome. And we probably just ruined the opportunity to have her name her child.
No,
after
she's
us.
just going to name it Michael now.
Yeah, instead of Lauren.
Way to go. I would name it Lauren. It's way more rare. It's a cooler name.
If you don't name your unborn child Lauren, I'm gonna hunt you down in the creep van now. So just so you know. So you better name. I better see a birth certificate with Lauren on it.
I'll try to stop him, Elizabeth. I can only do what I can.
Yeah.
All right, Joshua in Kansas City, Missouri. He's in that Kansas crew.
Dude,
he's in the Kansas crew.
City's. Just,
Yeah, him and Shannon gonna get us some
I
jerseys.
had this
It's gonna be
image
dope.
of us flying into Kansas City, and it's like the Beatles. Like we get off the airplane, it's just like a
There'll
crowd
be
of
like
people with
5 of
signs
them.
and shit, crying.
like 5 people.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome.
We have a creep van on standby that we have to run to and jump in and burn out.
We got one more.
I'm still waiting on my Royals jerseys, by the way.
We haven't even given
We need to get a
them
PO
we gotta
box.
get a PO
Yeah,
box.
we haven't given them anywhere
We're
to
working
send
on
it
that.
to.
So you guys got time.
We will have a PO box soon. That's
Yes.
something I want to mention.
Very soon. And then last one, Brittany from Springville, Tennessee.
Brittany, thank you.
So
So,
thank you,
these were
Brittany.
all people that bought stickers this week.
Yes.
And if you want to buy stickers, there's still plenty available, and all you got to do is go to our website, truecrimeguys.com. You'll see a tab at the top that says stickers.
Yep.
On there's a picture of what the stickers look like. They're the Creep Band. It's pretty cool looking stickers, and then there's a little donate button. So if you're a new listener, or if you've been listening and you haven't gotten stickers yet, all you just donate whatever you feel like donating.
Yeah.
You know, the stickers were cheap for us to make, so if you want to send us a few bucks, we will shoot you over a little envelope with some stickers in it,
Yep.
and we write a handwritten note for everybody that orders stickers as well.
We do.
We got some pictures from people that got their stickers this week, and we
Yeah.
want to thank you for posting and sharing the word online.
That's
Glad you
awesome.
like your stickers.
I noticed that like when people get a letter from you, they cover up the writing.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
weird. Huh?
Well, I have bad handwriting,
That's
and I'm
right.
very
I'm just
unoriginal
kidding.
in my letters.
I'm kidding,
I
dude.
say the same thing almost everybody.
Oh no.
Storm did mention that she saw somebody else's letter and it was yours, and she was like, "Why is that handwriting all nice?" And I was like, "Because Michael wrote that one, not me. You got unlucky and you drew me."
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like half illiterate.
Lauren's like, thanks for stickers buying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's drool on the page.
So you want to talk about the store right now?
Oh my God, yeah.
Let's talk about the
big
store.
development. We've been getting hassled online. People want creep shirts. People
Yeah.
want creep mugs. We now have creep shirts. We now have creep mugs.
Yes.
You ask and you shall receive.
Boom.
Build it and they will come. So now you guys, we've built it. Come on,
Yeah.
come get
Come
some.
and get them.
Come get some creeper shirts. I think the designs turned out awesome.
Yeah, I think they look
We
cool.
drew up a design that was basically the creep van. You've seen it on the stickers. You've seen it all over the place. Our creep van design with the True Crime Guys written on the side of it.
Yeah.
And then it says "Keep creeping" in big letters on it.
Yeah.
And then also we have another design. Big thanks to Miss Ward, who gave us the idea that she basically sent us an iTunes review saying that we make murder charming, and so we kind of took that and ran with it. So
Yeah.
Miss Ward, if you could send us an email and let us know where to send you a shirt, we're going to send you a shirt because we made a design for our shirts that says "Making Murder Charming" since 2016, and we drew up a cool little guy holding flowers in the front and a knife in the back. And so we already sent Julie, or we're going to be sending Julie a Keep Creepin' mug since she gave us the idea that our listeners could be called creepers. And so we're sending her a free mug for that idea. So if you give us ideas on the show, man, we're going to thank you for that in whatever
for
way
sure.
we can. So
We appreciate that. Very
Definitely,
much.
we're going to be selling shirts that, say "Making Murder Charming." So someone who gave us that idea is going to get a free one. That's kind of the way it's
Bada
going
boom,
to work.
bada bing.
Bada bing. So yeah, Miss Ward, hit us up, send us an email or something, let us know where to send you a shirt so we can get that done. But basically, we're going to put the link for the shirts and the mugs and the coffee mugs in our description for this episode. So whatever app you're listening on, you should have a link in there. It'll send you over to where you can check out the stuff. If you want, you can just get if you don't have the money for shirts or mugs, it is what it is. But
Or get a credit card and buy all the things.
or just charge it up, man.
Yeah, buy all the things.
YOLO. I can't believe I just said that.
Cut it.
I'm cutting this out. No, I'm not. It's staying in. I said YOLO. Fucking sue me.
All right. We have a lawsuit in the mail.
iTunes reviews. I want to get to those real quick. God, we got a bunch this week. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
We're staying on the charts, man.
Yes, that means so much to us, guys.
It's huge. So I want to thank Nene Bell. She said, "Great research, good show." She's been showering with a knife since the Richard Ramirez episodes. I love that.
Me too.
I love when people say that we're freaking them out.
Yeah.
Martha _21 from Greece is our first iTunes review from
Hey.
Greece. That's pretty rad.
Nice.
I definitely want to visit there someday.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like earliest civilization.
We could go do a live show in like a coliseum.
Yeah. Marth _21 said, "Excellent podcast, funny and informative." Amanda Z said, "Really good podcast, very informative. To the darker side of humanity with humor. Keep it lighthearted."
Yeah. Cool.
Q and Beal 1, like a drug. I'm hooked. Love your comedy and laughs.
Thank you.
Kimmy Claus started listening on a road trip. Gas and hotel stops are more interesting.
Yeah.
I can imagine that'd be a little. She's looking around like everything's normal, but she's like seeing like people are looking at her the wrong way. She's
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Oh, this guy's gonna stab me." Joy987, hilarious dudes making an amazing podcast. Thank you. Denario 365.
Nice.
Straight fire. I love those reviews.
That's my favorite.
I love them all. I love the long ones,
Yeah.
and then the ones that
yeah.
are just like straight fire. Pew, pew, pew.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Taylor Poswell, boom shakalaka, like sitting around with friends talking about true crime.
Nice.
Radu, interesting stories told through the style of two friends who've read a book or two.
Oh,
Mike, this is.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make this clear. I was finishing up the studying for this week's episode, and I was like, Michael, can you grab the
iTunes reviews?
the iTunes reviews and
Yeah.
stuff so we can give everybody a
So I
shout
did,
for that?
and I wrote them beautifully, and Lauren can't read.
This doesn't
So-
look like the writing on the stickers you've been sending people. This looks
That
like
is
some chicken
exactly the
scratch.
writing.
Okay.
It's a little bit faster because I thought I was going to be reading it.
Well, like I said, I'm illiterate too, so.
Oh, well, yeah.
Wade in Atlanta, witty and funny, my kind of dudes. Pour one to you. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Well, you're not British, but cheers.
Yeah, why just that was like I don't even know what
when
that
I say
was.
cheers,
He's
I
from
always-
Atlanta.
When I say cheers, I feel like it's followed by a mate for some reason.
Oh. All right, dude, give me that list. Just let me finish these, okay? Jesus Christ. All right. Brit519915. She said, "I seriously love you guys about as much as Bonin loved his creeper van."
That's a lot of love.
Ton of love.
I don't think there was. I hear like. I feel like that's how Bonin felt about his creeper van.
Wait, what is that?
You know that music like from movies when two people lock eyes and they just met for the first time.
Oh, and then
The
they
love
start running
music.
to each other in a
Yeah,
field.
yeah. He definitely ran in slow motion
And
towards
smashed into his van.
toward that 40 Connell line.
Just fell on his back.
Right.
Totally worth it.
Yep.
All right. And Storm, Lightning Bane, finally wrote us a review.
Storm took you long enough.
She said she may be biased because she is one of our favorite fans, which she is. I guess she's one of our favorite fans.
Storm's awesome.
She is. The gift queen.
Don't say she tweets too much. She takes offense to that.
No.
I say you tweet just the right amount. I love being tweeted all the time.
I wish
Storm.
you guys would tweet more because I like going on to Twitter because I don't stay signed into the Twitter.
Yeah.
So when I go on Twitter, I just search true crime guys and I'm like, hey, what do people talk about?
Yeah.
You know, and it's fun to go on there and see. But anyways, she
Storm's-
said we're right up there with Gen Y, True Crime All the Time, and True Crime Garage. So
That's what's up. True Crime
That
Garage,
is
one of my
cool.
favorites.
absolutely.
Those other shows are great too.
Demise 3.
That is Connor in Colorado. He's my buddy Adam's brother. Thank you. He's been
cool.
I don't know how you found the show. I guess Adam told him or he just saw it online or something, but he's been listening and liking it. And
Nice.
thanks for the iTunes review, dude.
Well, he said it makes the day go by faster and comedy makes it more enjoyable.
Right on. Awesome.
Joseph85 said their best friend recommended us and that we seem super cool. Ha, tricked you. We're just regular cool.
Not super cool at all.
No.
No.
We might not even be cool.
I
Baby
hate this
Cakes loves Baby Cakes loves Mitchies. That's
I love Baby Cakes.
Do you?
The pancake place in Vegas.
Oh, me too.
Or is that Baby Stacks?
It's Baby Stacks.
There should be one called Baby Cakes.
That's
though.
where I ate last week.
Yeah.
I was eating that Loco Moco. It's freaking delicious.
Let's save this
All right.
talk for after the show.
Okay. She said, "Where have you been all my life? I love your opinions and respectful humor, and just to make sure we don't do overdone stories, which I don't think we're gonna do that."
I mean, you could argue that Aileen Wuornos is overdone, but I think there's some people feel that way, and then there's a lot of people that can't wait for the big name ones. So it's kind of one of those things. It's
When
like
I
we
searched-
try to mix it up. We try to like we talked
Yeah.
about last week. We try to do a big story and then a smaller story and then a big story. Like this,
Right.
this next week we're going to be doing a show suggestion,
Yeah.
and it's a kind of lesser known story. I think I hadn't really heard of it, so
Yeah. I
we
agree.
try to mix it up. We try to get some big names and then some. lesser
Although
ones.
when I searched podcasts for Aileen Wuornos, not that many came up.
Right, no,
It was maybe 4,
yeah.
maybe.
I mean, she's well
So-
known, but
Yeah.
she's not Ted Bundy or
Yeah.
one of those types,
Either way.
or Al Bundy.
So that's all the iTunes reviews. Oh, I got some special mentions.
Yeah, I wanted to mention Podhead Rod from
Yeah.
the Listening Party podcast. He's been
Cool.
listening to the show and sharing the show on stuff. I sent him some free stickers because I've been buddies with him for a little while. So, what up, Rod?
Cool. Thanks, man. My cousins back in North Carolina, Andy and John, have been listening for, I guess, since the beginning, and they just didn't tell me. So, thanks, guys. For
Thanks for not telling me for
listening,
so
and
long.
they just recently liked us on Facebook. So,
Oh, sweet.
thanks, guys. And of course, Adam's brother, which we mentioned, left us an iTunes review.
Yep.
So, thank you, guys. You guys are near and dear to us.
Do you feel like we I don't know how this. I love giving credit to people that rate our show on iTunes, but I almost feel like it's us sitting here patting our own backs for a while. I don't know if we should. Let us know if you guys think it's too much that we sit here and because I feel a little awkward.
Fuck
Like,
it, we're not doing it.
rip it up.
We're not doing it. Fuck it.
No one's ever going to write us an iTunes
never
review
doing
again then if they're not going to get mentioned. I just maybe we should just mention them and thank them instead of reading the whole review because I feel like it's just like
No, that's not the whole reviews.
Yeah, we're great. Yeah, we're great. Everybody says we're great.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If you write us a bad review, I guess we'll read that too, and then it'll kind of balance things out.
I would love to read a bad review. We got a 2-star rating.
We did,
and
it's not all good. We got like 59 5-stars, and then the 1 2-star has us up late at night thinking like, what was it? They didn't write a review. I want to know what happened.
What did we do wrong?
How did we disappoint you?
I really wish they would have wrote something though. I want to read it.
They were kind of scaredy cats. They just left the 2 stars and just bounced.
If that was you, well, you're probably not going to listen to us again. So
yeah, who cares?
If you do, let us know.
We'd like to know how we can improve, or unless you're just an asshole and you're like, there are some people that it's unfounded. I appreciate feedback when it's constructive.
Yeah,
but when it's just like, you guys suck ass, and then 1 star, you suck.
You suck.
Well, okay, I don't know where to go from here.
Well,
I guess we suck ass.
I guess put that on our tombstone and roll with it.
Yeah, I guess we'll just. It is what it is. Let's get to the show, man. We've been babbling for long enough. This is where it all ends. Aileen Wuornos Part 2. Yep. It all comes to an end. There's a lot of speculation in this episode. This episode has already been recorded before we're talking to here, so we already know what's going to happen. We already know what we talked about. Surprise, surprise, motherfuckers.
We on the inside.
But I like the way Part 2 turned out. I think there's a lot of... we got worked up. We got fired up over it, about the trial and the way things went, and so... Yeah. Enough talking. Here we go. Right. All right, so where we left off in Part 1, Aileen Wuornos had killed Peter Sims, possibly with the help of Tyra Moore. It's alleged. It's part of the theory, the conspiracy theory behind Tyra.
This is somewhere in Georgia.
This is somewhere in the woods in Georgia. Aileen claims that she had shot him once, and Peter Sims' body would never be found. However, July 4th, this is a little less than a month after the killing, Tyra and Aileen were driving together in Peter Sims' car.
Right.
Tyra loses control of this car. This is in Orange Springs, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They're driving his silver Pontiac. The car skidded off the road. I guess she said she even talked about this later. Tyra Moore talked about the fact that she'd been going too fast around this corner. They'd both been drinking. That's why Tyra was driving in the first place. I guess Aileen was smart enough to know that she was too drunk to be driving the car, although Tyra probably was too drunk as well.
But I think she lived drunk, so she was a functioning alcoholic, I guess.
Yeah. What else would she be doing while Aileen was out there hooking?
Right.
Drinking.
Right.
And so they lose control of this car. They drive off the road. They go through a steel fence. Aileen's bleeding. This old couple named Rhonda and Jim Bailey witness this whole thing go down. They see the car crash. They come over to check on them and see if they're okay. They refused the help of Jim and Rhonda. They wanted to call call an ambulance for them. Not thinking anything's crazy other than this is just a car accident with 2 women.
Right.
Wanting to help them. Aileen's bleeding, and Aileen refuses and says, "No, I'm fine. My dad lives just down the road. We'll be okay."
Right.
They actually ditch the car and run off and come back to get the car later. And they don't get far, though. They get in the car and they're able to drive it a little ways before the tire goes flat.
Yeah.
So they pulled off into the woods, did what Aileen does, and pulled the plates and all the identifying marks off of the car.
Right.
Threw the keys into the woods. Police would later find the car. Was inside the car, there was a bloody fingerprint. You guess it.
Budweiser cans.
Receipts to a convenience store, which they had visited. We talked a little bit about that, which would later connect this whole thing together and make people think that Tyra was involved in this killing.
Right.
Because why else would she be down there in Georgia? You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
It's like the whole thing doesn't make sense. Tyra was in the car.
Yeah.
They were seen in the convenience store.
They were together the whole time.
The older couple, Rhonda and Jim Bailey, would help the police make a sketch of the 2 females that were seen.
Right.
These sketches were shown to the clerk at the convenience store. That's how he was able to say, yeah, I saw these 2 come in that night.
Yeah.
The sketch was actually put up in the local paper, but they had already made their way back down to Daytona. So this is a different town. The police were a little nervous about releasing this wide to the whole state because they were nervous that these two were going to run off. They kind of wanted to try and track them a little bit more, and they didn't want to scare them off.
Right, and they wanted Aileen to become a serial killer too. So
that too, according to Aileen, that was the whole goal of this thing.
right, little side note in there.
Yeah. On June 30th, 1990, Aileen would be back in action. She killed 50-year-old sausage salesman Troy Burris.
What a loss to society.
A sausage salesman? Yeah. He's doing the Lord's work, man.
Right?
He's up there. He's providing joy to everyone's lives.
Exactly.
Sorry if you're a vegan listener. I know we have some vegan listeners. I love sausage.
Although it doesn't look like he enjoyed very much sausage because he's only 155 pounds.
Yeah, right. You think he's not sampling his?
I just sell it. I'm not on the sausage.
I'm a vegan sausage salesman. So she killed 50-year-old vegan sausage salesman Troy Burris. She claimed he attacked her and told her a $10 bill was all she deserved, and called her a whore. So that was enough to set her off, I suppose. According to her, a struggle ensued, and she managed to get the gun and shoot him in the stomach. His wife would report him missing the next morning. The police quickly found the company vehicle in the shoulder of the highway. It was locked. The keys were missing. A family hiking 5 days later found his body on August 5th, about 8 miles away from the van. There was 2 shots, 2 casings found in the body, one to the chest and one to the back. I wouldn't say casings,
You
but
think
bullets.
he walked out there and died?
Why would
You know
you
what I
say
mean? Because
that?
the body was found so far from the van, or you think she walked him 8 miles?
I think she probably drove the van and then ditched it on the side of the highway, maybe.
Oh yeah, duh.
That's what you would usually do, Michael.
I know.
Is take the vehicle. That was
I
part
thought
of.
maybe he went like walking away from the van, like for 8 miles. I was like, man, what a trooper.
Oh, maybe he went walking further into the woods to find the keys that she threw.
Well, yeah, she had an arm on her. She threw a cue ball through a wall.
That was
once.
a real bitch move. She's like, I shot you. Now I'm throwing your keys into the woods. Go get them.
He was like, I heard she threw a cue ball through a wall. They might be out here a ways.
I'm gonna keep walking 8 miles.
8 miles.
And then he finally died. That's pretty messed up. Sorry, sausage salesman Troy Burris. We didn't mean to disrespect you.
No, that was a stupid thing on my part. My
Silly joke. You know, it happens.
bad. We'll cut all this out.
I think to be honest, she probably shot him out there, took his van, ditched it on the side of the road, and then threw the keys in.
Well, yeah, in hindsight, that's definitely what happened.
Okay, that's good. Let's just make that clear.
Okay.
We didn't mean to be too disrespectful there. And not long after that, we're gonna jump into some conspiracy here because
Yes.
some people believe she had an 8th victim. For a long time, this was believed, and my book sold this as this was a fact that a man by the name of Curtis Corky Reed was alleged to have been one of Aileen's victims because around the time that she's killing all these people down in Florida, he comes up missing.
Right.
This is September of 1990 that he comes up missing. His family leads a giant search. They gather 500 people to search for him.
Right.
His car would be located in a parking lot off of the I-95 after a security guard had seen his car just sitting in the parking lot and called the police to report it. The police ended up contacting Corky's family. The car had been, when they got there, they were expecting the police to be there. They were hoping that there would be this big investigation.
Yeah.
Their husband was missing or their family member was missing. But it was just the security guard when they got to the parking lot. So they drove the car back. Upon further inspection, the car had been ransacked. The seat had been pulled forward.
Uh-oh.
There was a condom wrapper on the floor.
Was it Trojan?
Things are linking up. It doesn't say that, so probably not.
Oh.
That case solved. It wasn't her.
Oh, there we go.
She only used Trojan.
She was a Trojan girl.
What's their slogan?
I don't know.
Damn it.
I've been married a long time.
Right? No, Michael's got 3 kids. He ain't about that.
What's a condom?
Right? I've never heard of such a thing. This is all according to the family, though. This is stuff they're saying that the car was ransacked, the condom wrapper, blah blah blah. Although later on, like I said, my book went into this whole chapter about Corky and how he was definitely her 8th victim.
Yeah.
But when I looked further into Corky, I realized that in 1992 he'd been identified in a traffic stop, and you guess where? Guess where?
Was it Vegas?
Las Vegas,
What?
Nevada. He was found in a traffic stop. He started telling the police, I guess, basically he had some people that he owed money in like the car dealership service.
Yeah. He
worked-
wasn't really fond of his family anyways, though.
Right.
Like, it's almost like he didn't want them to
His
find
family-
him.
his-
He's like, this is a perfect opportunity.
Family seems super overbearing and annoying too.
Yeah.
Like how dare they look so hard for their
Get off my case.
lost loved one.
That's it. I'm moving across the country.
I knew you guys would search for me this hard, David. I was just trying to have a camping trip alone for a couple days.
Can't do nothing.
He heard about Aileen, like all the connections being made, and he tried to make it look
he,
like
tried,
she
he
killed
pulled
him.
the seat forward,
Yeah.
threw a condom wrapper. They're like, oh, it's the wrong kind. Damn it.
Damn it, I didn't know she used Trojans.
Got the damn lifestyle.
Yeah, so he still could be living in Vegas to this day. I mean, Corky, hit us up, buddy. He can
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about
that would be
why you hate
awesome.
your family so much,
Have him on the podcast.
right? Next
All right.
week, special guest, Corky,
No,
alleged victim of Aileen Wuornos,
he'd probably be like, yeah, fuck you guys.
right? I don't.
He wants to be left alone.
My
I
family's
think.
gonna hear this and they're gonna find me. Damn it. Yeah. Okay, so around this time, I just want to throw in that we talked about it a little bit, but Tyra seems to be getting more and more demanding. She's
Yeah.
becoming high maintenance. She wants nicer apartments. She wants Aileen to get her a car and all this.
Right. They're trying to be all high on the hog bun
Putting-
and cloud over here.
Putting more pressure on Aileen, who's already struggling to make money as a hooker. Like we said, she's not this hot commodity. I'm sure there's plenty of them in Florida at the time.
Yeah.
She's probably on the lower end, and it's just more pressure, more reasons for her to want to get money the easy way, taking these guys out unbeknownst to them, shooting them, catching them off guard and shooting them and taking everything they got. She would
Right.
tear apart their vehicles, take all kinds of shit, pawn it,
Yeah.
you know. And so on September 11th, 1990, she killed Charles Dick Humphreys. He was 56 years old. This guy's kind of a big deal, man. This was
Yeah,
not
he was
the
a big
best,
deal.
not the best to choose. He was
No.
a retired U.S. Air Force major. His freaking, you look through his rap sheet. I guess you wouldn't call it a rap sheet, but his
Like resume.
resume. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. You look through his resume. It's freaking impressive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was a retired U.S. Air Force major, like I said. He was a chief of police at one time. And at this time, he was a state child abuse investigator.
Yep.
He was a well-liked man. A lot of people love it. He had just celebrated his 35th year anniversary with his wife, Shirley, the day before that he came up missing.
Yeah.
His wife said he was always home by 6:10 p.m.
Right.
I guess he got off work probably around 6.
He was very,
scheduled. He was
methodical.
regimented. You knew.
This man's probably, ate at the same place every day, had his cup of coffee. You know. Yeah.
He had his little
His routine.
ashtray on the top of his car that he had carved himself that Aileen would end up taking. It just kind of points to me like he was one of those old guys that likes his routine. He probably
Right. He's been doing it for a long time. It works. Don't
Yeah.
fix it if it ain't broken, bro.
on September 12th, 1990. This is the next day. So this is interesting to me when you look at the timelines of all these other killings.
Yeah.
And we've talked about several serial killers and how there's a 72-hour
Window.
Well, there's a 70
Before the body's found, typically, right?
Well, no, not so much. When a family reports a loved one missing, what do the cops usually tell them? You need to wait 72 hours before you can report a missing person.
I thought it was 48, but
No, you're thinking of that TV show, The First 48.
Oh.
Pretty sure it's 72 hours you're supposed to wait before they can, before you report it, because then it's legitimately a missing person. If you haven't heard from him in 3 days.
right.
However, because he was a chief of police at one point,
Yeah.
the police got right on this.
Before we get too far into his death, whatnot, and his finding of the body, this is kind of cool. At this time, Aileen was kind of not so much putting the hooking on the front lines, if you know what I mean. Like she was more hitchhiking and feeling out people.
Right.
So
see if they were potential victims.
right. So Humphreys may not have picked her up as a prostitute. He kind of picked her up because she said she was
That
heading
is a very
direction.
good point. There was
And-
many people that picked her up that would later talk about their experience with her.
Yeah.
That they picked her up thinking she was a hitchhiker and she
Yeah,
wanted to ride somewhere.
because she didn't dress like a hooker. She dressed
didn't
in normal
allude to
clothes.
that was her whole scam. She didn't allude to the fact that she
Right.
was.
And she
a hooker.
also had pictures of her nieces and nephews.
That was the
on
first
her.
thing she would show them.
And she would show them that and say, hey, I need to get back to my kids. But here's the thing, though. Mr. Humphreys is a child abuse investigator.
Right.
So he's like, oh, where are your kids? And they're here. And he's like, so they sit there,
Who's
they
taking
ride in
care of
silence.
them?
Exactly. So he's like, well, who's taking care of your kids? And this like pisses her off.
Yeah.
She's like, well, what's your deal? What's it matter? It ain't none of your business, What are you, a cop?
Yeah.
And he's like,
Matter
ma'am,
of
calm
fact.
down. I'm not,
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just an investigator
Yeah.
or whatever. And that's what sets her off. And
That's really fascinating.
yeah.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point that we've neglected to bring up this whole time is that she didn't make it clear from as you're driving down the road, there's no sign. She could truly just be a hitchhiker trying to get somewhere.
she's not displaying her body on the sidewalks
would-
anymore. This is different.
And I think she would feel out the person that picked her up as
Yep.
to when she was going to make her move, as to, hey, you could help me make some money here.
Yeah.
She would show the kids, say, I'm trying to get a ride somewhere. And then as she got more comfortable with the person and vice versa, she would start to bring up, hey, you want to I'm looking to make some money here.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, and see if they would bite. But and there was people that picked her up and they didn't bite, she would get agitated very quickly, start jerking at her purse, want to get out of the car.
Yeah.
And it would become very, okay, that was your scam.
And there were some people that were scared of her.
Yes.
Like there's one story of a guy who was so intimidated by her and got such a creepy feel that he pulled up to a gas station and told her to go in and get some cigarettes. He gave her some money. He's like, go in and get some cigarettes. I'll pump gas. As soon as she got out, he locked the doors and was gone.
And she was running after him, threatening that she's saying, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
And I forget what the guy's name was, but she was screaming out his name, I'm going to get you or whatever.
She would have too.
Right?
That fool would have been dead.
Yeah.
Hey, man, got to go with that intuition.
Yeah. So, like we said, he was always home by 6:10 p.m., so his wife became worried. And it's just amazing because I think it's partially because of his, maybe the fact that he was a chief of police at one time. It got the police looking real quick because the very next day, I put an asterisk in there because nobody else in this seemed to have been found this quickly. There was a search for a week or so before the body was found. They'd take their time. On this one, it was the very next day, September 12th, his body was found in Marion County, Florida, in the woods. He was fully clothed and had been shot 6 times in the head and torso. That's another damning fact, is that he was fully clothed.
Yep.
It seems like more and more that's happening through these murders. It's kind of more obvious that this was more about the robbery than it was about her.
Well, she said that later on too.
Yeah.
She said she wasn't into that serial killing jazz.
Right. She wasn't a thrill killer.
She was in the robbing biz.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd been shot 7 times. His money and wallet were missing. His pockets were turned out. The car was found 8 days later, 70 miles away. All identifying marks had been removed. Budweiser can in the back seat. Receipt for beer was in the car. Same store from the receipt inside Peter Siem's car. So it's easy to make these connections now. It's like she's drawing a straight line. And then you're starting to get into her head like, did they want her to become the first American female serial killer?
Exactly.
Were they seeing dollar signs here?
Yep. That's exactly right. It just that part. I'm not saying everything she said is right on track. But
the fact that there was
something about that, man. Come on.
Yeah.
And she's got a record too. I mean, come on.
She's
got headshots on file.
Florida.
She's got fingerprints on file. Get out of here.
Yeah. So of course they went to that convenience store, and the clerk had recalled 2 women purchasing beer that day. So that puts another question on this: was Tyra present for this one as well?
Yes.
You're gonna say it definitively? Yes.
I mean, who else is she hanging out with?
Who, Tyra? No one.
No. I mean, who else is Aileen hanging out with?
Whoever she's trying to get money from.
What other women though? It says 2 women were purchasing beer.
Oh yeah, no.
You know
Okay,
what
I
I'm
see what you're saying. Yeah.
She's not hanging out with other women.
No.
She really cared about Tyra.
And so later the police would wonder this very question, and they would actually question Tyra about this, and she was unable to account for her whereabouts that day. She was able to account for a lot. How much of that was manufactured for her own good, I don't know. But on this day in particular, she wasn't able to basically describe what had gone on. So it just raises more flags. Was she involved in a couple of these murders? I say
most likely.
I say yes. They're still doing their thing. I want to kind of make a note that they're jumping around from motel, hotel.
They're starting to get kind of high on life right now.
Yeah,
at this point, they're kind of like, we're kind of untouchable.
There was several people that the police would talk to later and would do interviews and that they lived with for a brief amount of time. You know, landlords and that such.
Yeah, and
they would all say that these 2 were. You wouldn't want them live. You wouldn't want to rent a room to them. They were super loud, obnoxious, always drinking. You know, wouldn't necessarily pay rent on time. They'd always have beer though. They always got beer, but it's a little bit short on rent. Yeah. Yeah. So, and they would also make note that Aileen would come to them and try and offer them goods rather than cash. Yeah. Stolen goods, of course, from dead men that she had killed. Of course. Sometime in November 1990, she killed 62-year-old Walter Gino Antonio. He was a trucker, a security guard, and a police reservist. She claims that he flashed her his police badge and demanded a free piece of ass. Did that catch you off guard?
Yeah, I did. I just picture that going down. Like, really?
It almost sounds contrived, doesn't it?
It does.
It sounds a little bit made up.
Like, just her dialect and the way she talks.
It
is just
sounds like
funny
a
to me.
movie.
Like in the documentaries, if you guys check those out, like just the way she talks.
Dude,
she's
honestly-
just so brutally blunt and honest.
Which makes me like her because I like that vibe. This is kind of who I am. I
Yeah.
think a person's being more honest when they talk
yeah,
a little bit more vulgar and I don't
yeah,
know.
she's just like you can tell she's just being honest. Like that's exactly the thought that came to her head, whether
Yeah.
it's manufactured or not. That's like exactly.
I guess it's because she reminds me like Aileen could have been in my family. It sounds crazy, but like I don't know. She reminds me of some of my family members. Just like don't give a shit. Just I'm saying what's on my mind.
Yeah,
Yeah. So when she would describe these murders, there was no holds barred. There was maybe
No.
these guys were sick bastards that did say this stuff, or maybe she was really good at just making up what a sick bastard would
well,
say.
she's probably regardless of these guys said that. I'm sure she's been said that too.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
She's
Did I say that right?
She's had that said to
She's
her.
had that said to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, over the thousands of men and
Oh, for sure.
You know.
For sure. Someone said, I want a free piece of ass.
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So she's these aren't completely made up. I'm sure she's heard this shit dozens of times.
Right. And he was a police reservist, so he did most likely have a badge. She claimed that after that they had gotten into a struggle because I'm sure that she didn't take kindly to that gesture. They got into a struggle, and he turned to run away, and she shot him in the back. Now, under no circumstances should she have said this if she's trying to prove self-defense, because that's not self-defense.
Right.
If a person is running from you, you don't need to shoot them at that point,
Yeah.
especially if you're the one in control and you have a gun and he doesn't.
Yeah.
And on November 19th, his nearly nude body was found near a remote lodging road in Dixie County, Florida. He had a gold, silver, and diamond ring from a recent engagement that Lee would later give to Tyra as a proof of her love for her. He had been shot 4 times. The car was found in a wooded area on November 24th. The plates, keys, stickers were all removed. Lee had actually gone to a convenience store and talked to the clerk there and asked the clerk if she could park her boyfriend's car behind the convenience store for a few days because, well, not for a few days. She asked if she could park the car back there for a little while because her boyfriend had a wife and she didn't want the wife to drive by the apartment complex she was staying in and see the car there.
Yeah.
And so the convenience store said, sure, go ahead, and claimed that the car had been
Sure,
parked
I'm
there.
a fan of adultery.
I don't give a shit. I'm just working here for $9. Right. Not $9 an hour. Back then, I'm sure she's probably making about $4 an hour. Or something.
right. I don't give a shit.
Right. Go do what you want.
Whatever makes you happy.
Down in Florida. So I guess the clerk kind of noticed that the car stayed there for a few days before Aileen came to get the car, and the car would be located in a wooded area on November 24th. Like I had mentioned, this guy is interesting because Walter Antonio, he was one of these guys that was real meticulous, and he kept a record on his mileage. Every time he would fill up, he would write down the mileage.
Right.
You know, we know those guys. Our
Yeah,
dads
yeah,
do
yeah.
that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys. And so they knew, based off of the last time he had gotten gas and recorded his mileage, that this car, when they found it, had been driven over 1,000 miles since then.
Wow.
So I feel like Aileen and Tyra, they're getting more brazen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she really did believe the cops wanted her to keep killing these guys.
Right.
She claims that the cops thought she was cleaning the streets for them, that she
Right.
was doing their work and getting rid of these scumbags,
Yep.
these violent sex offenders or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she's getting brazen enough to just drive these dead men's vehicles around for days at a time, racking up 1,000 miles on them.
Right. 1,000 miles, dude. That's
And
yeah.
it's
She drove it for weeks.
one of those things. It's like people we're just greedy as by nature. Like there's so few. I think that's why people are so fascinated with Randy Kraft, is that he was he even got brazen in the end. That's how he got caught. He was driving around with a dead dude, but it took him so long to get brazen. He got away with it for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So few people can be super tedious and clever and continue to cover their tracks for an extended amount of time when they're not getting caught.
Yeah.
I think, we're going on a year almost of her killing and getting away with it. And now she's just she used to ditch the car that night, the next day.
Yeah.
Now she's driving around with it. She's parking it, talking to convenience store clerks, and then getting the car back and driving it more
Right.
before finally dumping it.
Yeah.
Her and Tyra are driving around, crashing victims' cars and stuff. And it's like, do you want to get caught, or do you just think the cops know what you're doing and don't care? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it sounds weird applying this saying to murder, but I think about it all the time in my life. Like, just change becomes the new norm, you know?
Mhm.
And especially like you know,
killing guys and taking their stuff is just she's gotten
I
used
mean,
to
once
it
you do it
because
so much, it doesn't really matter what it is. I feel like your mind adapts.
Yeah.
If you do something over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I found that to even be more true. Like, you know, even like moving out here, I moved across the country within the last 8 months,
Yeah.
and I feel like more and every day things become more and more normal.
Yeah.
Just more and more normal. More
Humans are very adaptive,
right.
and so she's adapted to this
Exactly.
new lifestyle.
Like
that
it's no longer like a rush or giving her a panicking feeling. It's just kind of
Yeah.
I'm getting away with it. I'm getting away with it. Okay, well this is who
I'm
I
just
am.
gonna
This
keep
is what I
getting-
do.
I'm just gonna keep getting away with it.
Right.
And so I'm just gonna, keep pushing the boundaries and driving their car further each time before I
Yeah.
get rid of it and use it for whatever I need.
Right.
Moving from here to there.
It's harder
with
to
it.
find it if it's moving, anyways. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so, I mean, with her getting more brazen, the police are starting to piece things together. They're seeing
Oh, are they?
finally.
Man, these guys.
I guess they've finally established the fact that she's a serial killer and they
Oh.
can make some money on her. So now they're
They're
gonna
like, how many guys is she up to now? 7. I think that's good.
that'll work. Let's start to try and catch her now.
Yeah. Right.
They're piecing together the similarities in killings, the sketches. So they're talking to different people that have seen these girls, and they're getting sketches from different people, and they're seeing, oh, these sketches look alike.
Yeah. Finally putting together the condom wrappers and the 22 caliber bullets. And,
Yeah, it's always a 22 caliber bullet.
Yeah.
The cars are always found with the plates and all the identifying markers taken off of them. So they finally decide, all right, let's do something about this. They assemble a multi-agency task force with representatives from the 5. She's been killing people, and these bodies were found in 5 different counties. That's one thing that helped her case. We talked about that in Southern California. I think that's a big reason why there were so many successful serial killers in Southern California, because of all the different towns, all the different counties.
Yeah.
She's taken advantage of Florida's different counties,
Yep.
all in a small area.
sure.
And so they get these representatives from each of the 5 different counties together to work together to find links and start trying to track these 2 girls.
Right. Well, I imagine she's also given herself a bad name in all these counties, which prompts her to move as well.
Yeah.
Because, someone like her, you operate in a certain area. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Right.
she's working in a certain area of town. And in that area, it wouldn't be hard for her to get a bad name.
Right.
So, just head on to the next county and start over.
Right.
I mean, she's breaking bottles in bars and
Like we
throwing
talked
cue
about
balls
with
and shit. And
with her first victim, Mallory. We talked about him running from his dark past to where he was
Yeah.
before and trying to keep a good persona of where
Right.
he's actually living. Don't shit where you eat type thing.
yeah, I don't think she was moving around to try to hide the bodies in different counties. I think she was just, in order for her to keep working
Right.
and protect her
Well,
reputation,
the guys that
she
pick
had
her
to
up,
leave.
the guys that pick her up, like the one that she killed in Alabama, I think it was just she's working them while they're driving together, and like when am I going to make the move to try and make this happen?
That was in Georgia, wasn't it?
Georgia, you're right. Yeah, Georgia. One of those southern states.
Yeah.
No offense. Sorry.
None taken.
We're a-holes. So like I said, they got this task force formed, and they finally decide, you know what? We've got the sketch of these 2 girls. Why don't we just release this thing wide release, let everyone see it, run a news story on how there's 2 girls that we believe to be going around killing men. And of course they start getting a flood of calls right away.
Oh yeah.
Calls, they're pouring in. People are recognize these sketches. People that Tyra and Aileen had lived with are calling in and saying, look, we had these 2 rowdy girls that lived with us. They rented a room from us, and we think they might be who you're looking for. This is the names. And they would give the name of Tyra Moore, and then they would give the name whatever Aileen was using at the moment, whichever of her aliases. And so they start to see that Tyra name keeps popping up with this other girl.
Yeah.
And of course, at first they're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's Tyra that we're looking for.
Right.
So these calls are pouring in, and around this time, Tyra conveniently goes up to Ohio to visit her parents. This is around Thanksgiving. We're in November. And when she returns, Lee gave her that ring from Tyra from Walters that she had killed recently.
Yeah.
And begged her not to leave, because when Tyra got back, she had heard about all the publicity that she'd heard about the sketches.
Right.
It's out there.
And also her family
getting
has been
worried.
wanting her to move back.
Well, yeah,
Anyways,
there's that pressure as well.
Her family was like, come back, we'll support you, we'll help you get on your feet, whatever.
Yes.
Back in Ohio.
It's got to be tempting. She knows that the police are on to them.
Yep.
Her parents wanted to go back, and it was tempting enough that she actually decided to go back to Ohio, leaving Lee splitting. This broke Lee apart, completely tore her apart. She gave the ring back. She wouldn't accept the ring. And Lee, before she left as a last ditch effort, had Tyra go with her to throw her gun into the water at Rose Bay,
Right.
as kind of a sign of like, look, I'm done with those ways of killing. I'm not going to continue. Like we can stay together and make this work. And Tyra decided it wasn't going to work. I'm going back to Ohio. I don't want to be brought down for all these murders. Supposedly, is what she would say later, is that I don't want you taking me down with you. You did this. This is your fault. Blah blah
Right.
blah. So Lee would end up pawning the ring for $20, which I'm sure that ring was worth a hell of a lot more than $20. Gold and diamond
They
ring.
saw her come in. They were like, "Oh,
How do you feel about pawn stores? And I feel like they're kind of shady. Like so much. How many dead people, like murdered people's rings? How much merchandise from murder victims has been pawned, and just robberies and just?
Yeah.
I feel like they're there for that reason. Are they not? They're here for your hard times or for your crimes.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I feel like if I owned one, that would be my slogan.
Come
I'm here for your hard times and your crimes.
Well, I like it.
All right.
Let's open that up on the side.
Do what?
True crime pawn shop. Here for your hard times.
The creeper pawn shop.
Creeper pawn.
All right. So police had been tracking Tyra and Lee's whereabouts. Lee's aliases made it really hard though, with all the different names like we were talking about.
Yeah.
They finally pieced together the different aliases from pawn shops. So they get these. That's the one good thing about pawn stores is they record your transaction. They put a number on it. A lot of them make you put a thumbprint down, which is what happened here.
Yeah.
Which actually helped catch her. And so the different thumbprints and fingerprints that were in the victim's cars was matched to a pawn shop transaction. I believe it was the merchandise from Richard Mallory. We talked about it earlier. The radar detector that she had turned in, and the radio from Richard Mallory. Yep. They connected that transaction with her thumbprint to an alias, which led them to Aileen's aunt, which she had slash sister that she had lived with, and then they start connecting the dots. Like, oh, okay, it's not her. It's Aileen Wuornos has been using all these different aliases.
Exactly.
And so they're on to her. They start tracking her whereabouts. They realize that she likes to hang out at this bar called the Last Resort. It's a biker bar. I guess it's not far from where she's staying at the time.
Right.
Which I don't even know if she has a place at this time. I think she's spending a lot of time at her storage. She has a storage shed that she's renting.
Yeah.
And she's like sleeping outside of that. And she's just in a bad way right now. The love of her life is gone and left her. The police are on to her. She's basically going to this Last Resort bar, and
as a last resort.
And the night before she got caught, she slept the whole night there. So that's just kind of goes to show she had no place to stay. Yeah. She's just sulking away, drinking.
They showed this bar in the documentary. It's not the best of bars. It's like
it's a dive bar, to say the least.
She slept basically on an old seat from a van,
like a back seat of a Blazer or something.
Yeah, something. It was just kind of parked over in the side, and she would curl up on that and sleep.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so they're tracking her whereabouts. They put some undercover police there. Didn't they dress up a couple of detectives as like bikers to go hang out in the bar? That in the movie Monster, that's how they depicted this whole thing going down.
Oh yeah,
they had some like big fake burly bikers that were like cops that were pretending to be bikers that caught her. But I don't think that's how it went down. I think they knew that
theatrical. Whatever.
One way or another, they get a hold of her at the Last Resort bar. Right. They arrest her, take her in. And that's when they start, the very next day after they capture Aileen, they also get a hold of Tyra Moore, who's up at her parents' place. Mm-hmm. It says they capture her in Scranton, Pennsylvania, however, which maybe it's not far from her
must
parents.
Have been on her way. No, it's not far.
That's right. She was on her way to her parents' house.
Yeah, in Ohio.
So they capture her there. They get her in, and they start immediately working on Tyra.
Also, Scranton, Pennsylvania is the place of the office.
Dun, 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 dun.
Exactly. Freaking love that show. Oh my God, I love that show.
I never got into it. I like Steve Carell. He's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so they get a hold of Tyra, and they start working her right away. They basically get an agreement that if Tyra elicits a confession from Wuornos, that she will have immunity from prosecution in exchange.
Right.
So if she can get Aileen over the phone to confess to these murders, she will be completely immune to any persecution from these.
Right.
Even if she was involved.
That's crazy.
Here begins the conspiracy. It's like, did they need her to do this?
I mean, no, but it's the easiest way, I
It's
think.
the easiest way, but do you not care that if Tyra was involved at all? It just seemed like they right away, they're just like, hey, we'll just let you off the hook even if you were involved.
Well, I think they know she never pulled the trigger, and she doesn't have the guts to pull the trigger, so I don't think they're very afraid of her.
Maybe you think it's because they looked at Tyra's rap sheet and then they looked at Eileen's rap sheet.
Yeah.
Do you think that was where they were drawing these, and they saw that Eileen had all these different aliases, and she just seemed like the guilty party. Tyra has a wholesome family, and like she's
and I'm
just
sure
being strung
Tyra
along.
broke down like a little baby during these confessions and
I'm
stuff.
sure. I'm sure she ratted on her.
Yeah.
She rolled over
yeah,
right
she rolled
away.
over right away.
She was a rat. Her whole family would have grown up to be rats. She agreed to this. She started making. The police brought her back to Florida, where she would be put up in a motel by the police, and under their guidance, she would make several phone calls to Wuornos, who was in jail, pleading for her to help clear her name. And so these calls, you can actually look them up. They're in the documentaries, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're in the documentaries we talked about. So they're interesting because it's like you can sense the whole time that Aileen knows. Aileen knows she's being recorded.
Yeah.
Tyra sells it though. She starts crying and saying she's gonna kill herself. She might kill herself. I don't know if I can keep going on doing this and blah blah blah. And Aileen really shows her love for her at this point because she goes, you know what, Tyra, just tell them whatever you got to tell them. You know, you're not guilty. You're not a part of this. I'm not going to let you go down for this. And doesn't confess to the murders over the phone, but tells her to just go ahead and tell her what she wants. But the call we're talking about, where it really gets to Aileen, after she hangs up, that's when we get Aileen to go and confess. So it ultimately did the same thing. She didn't confess over the phone, but it stirred her up so bad knowing that Tyra was this worked up over it and this worried. Tyra was telling her that her family is getting hounded by the police and investigators and won't leave them alone. And so after she hangs up, she would go to the police and basically say, look, I've got to tell you some stuff. I want to come clean.
Yep.
I've got to come clean for God and yada, yada. And I don't want, there was a girl involved that shouldn't be brought down on these charges. She was innocent, and she would spend, what was it, like 3 hours confessing everything.
Oh yeah.
Coming clean. She would say that it was self-defense all the way throughout.
This was on one of her Christian trips.
But it was so, spur of the moment, this confession, because of emotion. She was all it was all emotional. She was all worked up. So she didn't have, what she should have done is gone back to her cell and really thought up a plan.
Yeah.
She didn't do that. She just went on a tirade for 3 hours, and the police are just kind of sitting like, okay, keep talking. Keep going. You're just digging yourself a deeper grave here.
Exactly.
Because a lot of stuff she didn't think about the wording of it, and it didn't come across. A lot of these descriptions of how the night went for a lot of these murders she was describing didn't sound like self-defense sometimes. So it's like, it didn't help because of course that stuff's going to be used against you in court when it comes time for the trials. So she's under arrest, being held. She's confessed, and this is when she makes a pen pal. Let's just say that.
Right.
This is probably the scummiest person in this whole thing.
Oh,
maybe I hate her.
I was wondering when you're gonna bring her up.
I hate this woman more than I could ever hate Aileen. I at least understand where Aileen, like, I get that she killed people. That's never acceptable. But man, born again Christian Arlene Prale.
What a saint.
What a she-devil.
Oh. Well, we obviously have contradicting opinions.
Man, watch these documentaries and see what a fake.
Yeah, she's
money grubbing, freaking opportunist she was. She's watching Aileen gets arrested.
Right.
You know, they're saying first female serial killer, all this jazz all over the newspapers and stuff. Arlene's looking at this with her husband, and she's looking at it. She's going, look into her eyes. There's no way she could have killed those men. I see goodness in there.
And he's like,
innocent.
Well, look at this shitty picture we got on this old ass tube TV. You can't see shit. We ain't even got HD.
It's 1991.
How you seeing goodness in this
We
one?
ain't got 1080p yet.
Right. We ain't even got 720.
Yeah.
I mean, she's talking about, I see goodness. Bullshit.
You see grains.
That's right. And you see in dollar signs.
There's no megapixels yet, lady.
No.
Okay, so she sees goodness in her eyes through the news. She has no idea. She's never met her. Aileen has no idea who this is.
Nope.
However, Arlene starts writing letters to her. And did you hear a thing about Aileen told Arlene that she had been, when she got arrested, she was waiting for God to send her a sign.
Yeah.
And that if there was a God, send her a good Christian woman.
Yeah, to lead her.
And so Arlene was who she was waiting for.
Arlene was like, I'll be that woman, sweetie.
Yeah, I'm a good person. I'm
Yeah.
here to save you and get a lot of money for it.
That's right.
I'm going to send you your deathbed quicker than hell so that I can get paid.
That's right.
Yeah, so she's a very strange woman. The documentaries go out to her. She has like a ranch. She's got horses. She's raising wolves.
Yeah, because she thinks wolves are like the basic instinct of humanity or something. She had some kind of weird reason.
Oh god.
Right? She was like, they embody the most basic
Pure
human instincts or something.
They're not. They're canines. They're
Yeah,
wolves.
they would probably rip you apart if you let them out of there.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. The basic human instinct of survival, eat your ass.
All right. And so like we said, she starts writing to Aileen in jail. And quickly they form this really great bond, supposedly.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, this is crazy, but Arlene would end up adopting Aileen as her daughter.
That's right. Her
This
legal
all
last name became Pro.
This all happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she's writing her 3-4 letters a day.
But then if you're Aileen, you're like, what the fuck? I don't care. Like, what have you got to lose at this point?
Yeah, I guess. But what's sick about it is that Arlene is saving all of this stuff, all the letters, all the phone calls she's recording. She's compiling all of this stuff.
Drawings that Aileen has done.
What do you
Which
think
she was
she's
an amazing
doing that?
artist.
What do you think she's doing that for? Because she loves her so much, this woman that she hadn't met for the first
She wants to
however many
create a
50
time
years of her life.
capsule.
No, she's trying to sell this shit.
Oh, is that what she's doing?
Yeah, and she would end up.
You always see the worst in people, Lorne.
Yeah, well, so be it. Maybe that's kept me alive this long. So, documentary, the movie maker Nick Broomfield, who we talked about.
Yeah.
He made the movie.
He's the real hero.
He is. He's the hero of this whole movie. Him and the guy we're gonna get to, Steve. So Nick Broomfield, he goes out and he starts talking to Arlene. He's making this movie. What was it? Buying a serial killer or selling a serial killer?
Yeah, selling a serial killer.
He's making the movie Selling a Serial Killer. He goes out to meet Arlene, and Arlene is asking for money for the information that she's been getting from Aileen, who's in jail.
Exactly.
Lee's talking to her every day. They're writing letters all the time. I don't know if there's photos being sent, what's going on, but this is valuable information for this hot story of the first female serial killer.
It really is. She's collecting drawings and pictures and stuff that Lee has drawn in like prison. It's pretty good actually. She was
she could do some
very talented artist.
Yeah, she did those sketches where you'd have to hold them up in the light to be able to see. She man, they showed some of them. Like, there was one with an eagle that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was a talented artist. That was one thing her teacher said. She wasn't a great student, but she was talented in drawing and stuff at a young age.
Makes you wonder if that would have been watered a little bit. You know, if that would have been like watered or cultivated a little bit in her youth. If that would have gave her an outlet for all this frustration she had, There
was several times. I mean, there was one point when she was in school that the counselors recommended that she get help, and her parents refused, or her grandparents refused.
Yeah.
But
I'll just stick them in a sauna.
Yeah, they'll be fine. A couple more belt whips should be all right. That's right. We're starting to see the corruption leak in, though. Arlene really throws a monkey wrench into her defense because Aileen gets appointed an attorney, a male attorney. He doesn't last long for whatever reason. She requests. I don't know at one point, but early on she requests a female appointed attorney. She gets a female attorney
who was just a public defender.
Yeah, and the whole time that she's in jail, leading up to her trial, Arlene is in Lee's head. I'm just going to call her Lee because their names are so similar. Lee's in jail. They're writing back and forth, and Arlene is in her head, convincing her that she needs to tell her
to come forward. And she's using the Christian standpoint as well. She's like, you need to come forward. You need to confess your sins.
What's your thoughts? Arlene wanted her to die as soon as possible, correct? She wanted to get a bunch of stuff, and she wanted the rights to the movie stuff. She wanted to have all this information on her that she could sell. And the best story is if Aileen comes guilty on all this crap and looks like a monster, gets killed right away, and then she can sell all this stuff off.
Exactly.
If she gets proven innocent by defense, that's not a good story. She's not the female serial killer.
Not only that, this crazy serial killer bitch is coming back to live at your house. Because she owns her now.
Well, she's telling Lee the whole time, I want you to come back and work with me. No, you don't.
No, you don't. She's she's a legal guardian of this woman that she barely even knows.
Yes. So Lee is now giving her female appointed attorney crap, saying if you don't talk to my friend or my mother, my now mother, she's adopted her,
right?
My now mother Arlene, and discuss things with her, I'm not even going to deal with you.
Exactly.
And so this is where the corruption begins with this first trial with Richard Mallory. This trial really set the tone for everything that would happen going forward. Yeah. I thought she had a chance to prove
This was her
self-defense
best
on this
chance.
one. Her best chance was to get off on the right foot and prove self-defense on this one, and then maybe the other dominoes start to fall, and she could start to maybe prove defense. Probably not.
Yeah.
But she probably wouldn't get the death penalty after that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But so many things were just wrong on this first trial with Richard Mallory.
Like his rape and mental hospital stay, none of that was brought up.
None of that was
his breaking and entering.
I don't know.
None of that was brought up in the
I read
in
it
the
that it
case.
wasn't permissible, apparently. And maybe it had something to do with Arlene. Maybe it had something to do with Arlene being in her defense attorney. Maybe her defense attorney was not able to do her job properly because of Arlene not wanting it to go that way. I don't know, man. I don't know. But either way, the fact is, all of the information on Richard Mallory, all of his past discretions, his breaking into a house and attempting to rape a woman and spending 10 years in a mental institution for that.
Yeah.
All of the interviews that police had done with all the females saying that he was a creep and that he had done things to them. None of that was permissible in court. It was not. It was not testified to. No one was a witness to that.
Right.
So that didn't get brought into court. But what did get brought into court was some weird law that's only in Florida, I suppose, called the Williams Rule, which basically said that it allowed the prosecutors to introduce information from her other crimes. So the murders that happened after Richard Mallory were allowed to be brought to court.
Yeah, that's.
And so if you're a jury member sitting there, and you get shown this case of Richard Mallory, she's saying that he tied her up and sodomized her and put this, bottle of alcohol into her anus and all this stuff. And she's crying on the stand. And you're starting to maybe think this is a self-defense case based off what she's showing.
Right.
And then the prosecution brings in the fact that she killed 6 more men after this.
Right.
In questionable circumstances. How do you think you're going to rule on that at that point? Especially if you don't know Mallory's a creep, because that hasn't been brought to court either.
Yeah, it's weird that you can bring in Lee's future.
It's so one-sided,
but you can't bring in Mallory's past.
Right. That's that's exactly how you should put it.
That is so weird.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So obviously, if you're on the jury, I would do the same thing. They say she's guilty.
Yeah.
And after they say she's guilty, she hasn't gone in for the guilt. 4 days later, she's scheduled to have the punishment stage of the sentencing.
Right.
And so she doesn't know whether she's getting the death penalty or not. She just knows she's guilty of murder for this one. And she has an outburst afterwards, which tells you, because later on, she's going to start to change her tune and say that she wants to come clean and she wants to die and she feels bad for all this stuff because of the influence of Arlene.
Right.
But this initial one, I think she really wanted to get off on self-defense.
I think she did too.
I don't believe from the get-go that she ever wanted the death penalty.
No.
But on this one, she had an outburst after the sentencing.
Yeah.
And then that set a tone. And when it came time for them to decide on her punishment, the jury, she had already, after the first one, what she said, scumbags of America, I was raped and all this stuff.
Yeah, she said, I'll be looking down on y'all in hell from heaven.
Yeah.
And I hope that your wives and children get raped in the ass. And
I thought that was after she says scumbags of America and I was raped. And then that put an image, that kind of showed them a glimpse of her anger and right. I think it set a tone for when it came time to set the punishment for her.
Yeah.
That may have played a part in the fact that they gave her the death penalty. They decided that she should be killed. And not only did they decide that, the jury, but I feel like you can watch this go down. You can watch this the judge give her death penalty, and the way he said it was so dark too. He's like, I sentence you to be electrocuted until you're something about a corpse.
Yeah.
It was dark, and
But
then she lost her shit.
Yeah, but Florida has been like that for a while. They're quick to. We talked about another case.
Yeah.
Was it Randy?
Yeah. So that's
bringing up damn
interesting
Randy.
that Randy Kraft, after killing potentially 60 something men, still sitting on
He
death
didn't
row.
get it, even though he went to Florida.
Still sitting on death row.
Trying to kill people in Florida too. He still didn't get it.
Exactly. So she gets the death penalty for Richard Mallory. I think that was wrong. I really do. I mean, you can argue she should, death penalty or not for the other ones.
Yeah.
I just don't see enough there to give her the death penalty for this
I don't
one.
think she could have made it with life in prison, though. I don't think she would have made it.
No, just a normal.
She would have went crazy.
The thing is,
she just wasn't that type
later
of person.
she starts singing, like we said, a different tune. We'll just foreshadow. She ends up ditching her current female attorney, and it's a lot to do with Arlene.
Yeah.
Her now born again Christian adoptive
The
mother.
new attorney is a
That's in
suggestion
her-
of Arlene, right?
Yeah, so it's real convenient. Arlene suggests this guy named Steve Glazer.
He's
and
my
it's
favorite character in
Michael's
the whole story.
favorite person ever. There's all kinds of video of this guy out there. He's a character. He's a freaking old school hippie.
He is.
Big old curly hair,
Big beard.
big
He's
beard.
freaking awesome. He's a musician.
Yeah, you can say that, I guess.
He's not a bad musician, though. He's not bad.
Okay, he's not a bad musician, but when you're, you want to talk about the court ride he made? He was on the way.
Listen, if you can't smoke 7 joints on the way to court, when can you do it?
But when you're listening, you're driving to court smoking 7 joints. I'm gonna add a little bit to that while listening to a CD of yourself playing a song. Not only yourself playing a song, but yourself playing every instrument and singing.
Yeah, and you're
this song.
jamming to it, too.
So the drums are being played by Steve Glazer.
Yeah.
The guitar is being played by Steve Glazer. The
Glazer.
bass is playing by Steve Glazer.
Right.
And it's being sung by Steve Glazer. And it's
guessed
a
it.
Pink Floyd
Produced
song.
by Steve Glazer.
And it was a Pink Floyd song, so it wasn't even his own song. So I feel like that's about the douchiest thing you could do. He's
It
just
is.
rocking out high.
He's jamming, though.
Oh my God, that guy is a character.
Oh, come
and
on.
he's a really, I mean, I've looked at a lot of YouTube videos on this case. I've looked at a lot of comments on the YouTube videos. A lot of people hate Steve Glazer. I get it.
How?
Because he seemed like he did this just for money. But it's Arlene that's the driving force behind all of
is.
this. She hired him. Well, Aileen hired him based off of Arlene's suggestion. And it was basically a free pass for Arlene to get Lee dead as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
this is-
She knew this lawyer was going to be in over his head.
Well, he basically what Arlene convinced Lee to do is just plead no contest, guilty for the rest of these murders. She's already got death penalty. Come clean to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Admit to all your wrongdoings, even though later on, when it came time for Lee to die, under her breath, whispering to Broomfield. She grew to really like Broomfield, the guy that made the documentaries. When she thought the cameras were off, and he asked her, person to person, was it self-defense? She said yes, under her breath, whispering.
Yeah.
She sang the tune for a while because partially, I believe, she wanted to. She was already sentenced to death, and all she was going to do was sit in a tiny cell on death row for the next 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that was her style, man.
If she didn't get the death penalty, she wouldn't be sitting on death row. She would be in normal population. She could have more of a normal life. She could have a jail cell with a TV and all that stuff. It's different. When you're on death row, it's different because it's a smaller cell. I think you're more isolated. You're the pariah of the prison. It's already a bunch of pariahs. You're the pariah of the pariahs.
Yeah.
It's way worse being on death row, I think.
So anyways, this lawyer was way in over his head.
This lawyer, Glazer, they hired him just to go in there,
guy.
plead guilty, let her plead guilty. You don't even have to defend her.
What is it lawyers have to pass? The bar?
Yeah.
Right? The bar. How the hell? You're talking about a guy that
Maybe
built,
he's a stoner savant or
he
something.
built his own imaginary friend to sit on his
that's
porch.
right,
Remember that in the
yeah.
documentary? His name was
Yeah.
Lothar. He built this freaking dummy to sit on his porch. Guys, you can't make this shit up, okay?
Right.
This is real.
Yeah.
This dummy was made out of, I don't know, it looks like a freaking scarecrow with like maybe a metal arm.
Yeah, and he was like sitting there talking with it.
Yeah,
high
it
as
had
shit.
like a weird like Halloween mask for a head.
Yeah,
It was just weird as hell.
yeah,
But you just can't make this shit up, man. He lived in like this little shack out in the middle of nowhere.
yeah,
He's an interesting dude, man.
yeah. And he's cracking jokes the whole time through this really serious
Oh yeah,
documentary.
He's always smiling.
about
He's
how
always
they're
high, so.
about how they're selling a woman down the river for money.
Right.
Basically, I mean, giving up her. I mean, I get it. She killed people, but it's still up for debate. She should have gotten a fair trial, which she did not get.
She did not get a fair trial.
She did not get a fair trial from the jump. And once she got convicted to death from Richard Mallory, I think she just gave up after that. And Arlene got in her head, infiltrated her head, convinced her that you've got to come clean. So there's interviews where you can look up interviews with her where she seems like she's being totally truthfully and honest and going, look, I killed this person because he had the proper amount of money. She said that with Richard Mallory. I killed him because he had the car I needed to move and he had the right amount of money for us to move into our new apartment. And each murder she went through and said, oh, I just killed him because he had money. There was no self-defense there, yada, yada. But I don't believe that for a second. I'm not trying to defend all her murders. I think there was truthfully near the end, some of the guys she killed, 100% were just robbery and murder. So, but I also think if a guy like Randy Kraft is still sitting on death row, that she should have at least gotten a fair trial. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I don't know. It was should we talk about the police? That there was 3 police that got investigated early on.
Yeah, for attempting to sell the story.
For attempting to sell the story.
Yeah, that was.
the police chief had to come out and make a big public announcement that they were I think they were forced to resign.
They were, yeah.
There was actually a police officer who he was involved in these talks early on, or at least he didn't really willingly become involved in these talks. He was against it. He was against the idea of profiting from a killer like this, like these other police officers wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
he did not fare well.
Yeah. So when he spoke up and said, I don't think this is right, he was immediately demoted.
Yep.
And there was he came home one day, and his wife came home one day. She had been at the store to find their house had been broken into, ransacked, except the only things that were taken was the information on the Aileen Wuornos
all the
case.
case files.
All the case files from that, and there was a note left. Do you want to tell them what the note was?
Yeah, the note on the door basically said, forget everything you know about the Wuornos case. If you open your mouth, we'll kill you and your family.
Yep.
And it was typed up. It wasn't handwritten or anything.
Yep.
And it just seemed like, I don't know, it'd be a cop job.
Yeah. So you got Arlene. You got her working with these lawyers that their vested interest is just to get her dead and gone.
Yep.
Then we can make our money.
Yep.
And you've got her former lover, Tyra, who has sold her down the river,
Yep.
admitted no guilt to any of this stuff.
Right.
And so it's just, I don't know, man. I started to feel for her, even though it's crazy. She killed people in cold blood, and I don't want to make it seem like those families didn't suffer, those men that got killed, and it was totally wrong.
Yeah.
Still should have got a fair trial from the get-go. And if they found her guilty, so be it.
Right.
But at least it was a fair trial. Our justice system failed in this scenario.
Definitely.
And she got super angry, man. There's the final interview we're going to play at the end of this show. We'll just give you an idea. She started going real nuts. And there's also a case to be made that insanity, like she should have been locked up and held, but
yeah,
I think
the end.
That's an argument to be talked about too. It's like, let's say someone in their right mind kills someone knowing it's wrong.
Okay.
They go to trial for it, and they're still suit to be put towards for trial, and they get convicted, and they spend, say, 20 years in prison. Do you think it's still okay to kill them if at that point, 20 years in, they're totally insane? Because I think it's clear that Aileen went crazy on death row over those years.
I think it just depends on the time the murder's committed, though.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say, 20 years in prison made them insane, so now we can't kill them. Well, they weren't insane before. How is this going to be even better? This is definitely even going to be worse if they're to stick around. You're still risking the lives of other inmates and guards and whatnot. I guess having them, I don't know.
I just thought about the fact that Jeb Bush rushed her. She started requesting at a certain point after she knew it was a lost cause to be killed quicker, to get rid of her appeals.
Yeah.
And just push the death sentence through so she could get it over with, because she hated sitting on death row.
And that was part of the reason why she stopped saying self-defense. She was just like, well, fuck this altogether. I'm just going to start saying I killed them all in cold blood.
Right.
So I can
make myself look like a monster so I can get out of this
they'll
world
kill me
now.
already.
Because, everyone she ever trusted, it just fucked her over completely.
Yep.
So
Yep.
she was done with this world, man. She was ready to see what was on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
She thought that she would get it right into heaven, and a lot of these people that she thought wronged her.
Yeah, she was passionate about the crooked cops, man, at the end. That's all she wanted to talk about. And it just, and at this time, she was still testing normal on all the psychological exams like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So you're like, why would they forge a fake psychological exam? Why, if she's saying all this, why would they say
Re-election purposes.
She's normal.
Re-election purposes.
She's normal.
Jeb Bush was up for election, and he wanted to push it through because that was his
But wouldn't
strong.
it benefit
He had a
them
strong
more?
stance for killing criminals. That was
Right.
a big thing in Florida at the time. People, the main public wanted.
Right. No, I get that, but like, if you're trying to if you're trying to disprove her accusations that the cops aren't crooked, why would you release her psychological exams as normal? You would say, I figured they would have doctored them because she was crazy.
No, if she's crazy, she's not going to get killed as fast. I would think she would get more appeals, and they could start trying to plead insanity.
Well, yeah, in that aspect, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, she knew what she was doing. She's admitting to it. She's saying that I killed him for money and this and that.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we waiting on? Let's kill her. She's
Yeah.
saying she wants to die as well. Let's kill her.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to mention is that most of the time she was leading up to it, there was a lot of talk about Old Sparky. She was going to get the electric chair. That was when she initially got
Yeah.
convicted. It was electric
lethal
chair.
injection, right?
No, it was going to be electric
It was
chair.
going to be electric chair, but,
But
it's
there
not
was
what-
I guess there was something went wrong with somebody that got killed with the electric chair, so that actually got put out of commission.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for her, because it just seemed like the electric chair was some inhumane shit.
Yeah.
A guy like William Bonnet, go for it.
Yeah.
Freaking electrocute the shit out of him. That guy was.
Yeah.
I don't feel like she was like that. I mean,
She wasn't.
no.
No. I think, at the beginning it could have been self-defense like we said, and then later on I think it was this uncontrollable urge to support Tyra and to, show her how much she cared about her, because it was the one person that she felt cared,
Yeah.
that gave her love back.
I think also distrust for men after what I think Mallory really did something to her that night, man. And I think after that, she was so afraid something like that was going to happen again and someone was going to get the jump on her that she would, like I said, jump the gun.
Yeah.
She
had a short fuse anyways.
Yeah. If a guy showed any sign, because Mallory, she said, had been really cool all night and she actually liked him a lot. And then he got to a certain point with drinking his whiskey and smoking weed that he turned and he became this evil, dark person. Maybe she was afraid she started seeing signs of a guy doing that.
Right.
And whether he was actually going to do it or not, maybe in her head, she saw this guy's going to try and harm me. He's going to try and rape me. He's going to try and kill me. I'm going to nip this in the bud before he can get me. I'm going to get him. I think that's part of it. I think part of it was convenience and money and needing to take care of Tyra as well.
I think she kind of justified it in her own mind.
But she wasn't this sick, sadistic person that
No.
Richard Ramirez or William Bonin.
And she said that all the way through. She's like, I was in the robbing biz. I wasn't in the serial killing biz. She's like, I didn't get off on this.
Yeah.
I needed something, and they had what I needed. And
all I'm saying is, there's plenty of worse people sitting in prison,
sure.
right now.
I'm totally.
There's worse people that have gotten released from prison.
Oh hell yeah.
So I mean, it just seemed like the justice system failed her in the end, and she got taken advantage of by a lot of people for money.
Yeah, I think some damn anger management classes and career training would have set her on the right track, even as an adult.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I don't think she was a lost cause at any point.
No, she wasn't.
She was very charismatic. Like in a lot of these interviews, you just like her. Like she seems like a lot of people say in the comments on YouTube and stuff, she's the most likable person in this whole documentary.
Yeah.
I like Nick Broomfield a lot, but out of everyone else, like the lawyers, the police, everyone, she seemed like the most.
Don't you hate on Steve Glazer?
Fuck Steve Glazer.
Don't you hate on Steve Glazer?
Fucking bastard. Okay, so let's get to let's wrap this up with her execution. She had her final interview. We're going to play that at the end of the show. And on October 9th, 2002, she finally was executed. It was 9:47 a.m. She declined her final meal, which could have been anything under $20, and opted for a cup of coffee instead. She was always adamant about wasting tax dollars. Like throughout the trial, she was saying that they were ponying her around to different counties for new trials and all this stuff. She's already, how many times do I have to get sentenced to death?
Right.
You already killed me once. Why do you need to kill me 7 times?
Exactly.
And it became political for everyone trying to get reelected and stuff like that. So I think part of that was she was just like, I don't need to waste more tax dollars with a meal when I'm about to be killed. I honestly think a little bit about that because I watched so many interviews with her and she just kept bringing that up.
Yeah, I know.
And I think
that came from her Democratic father or grandfather.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think that was kind of instilled in her.
You don't need to waste
one of the
shit.
things that she actually took from him that wasn't so bad, maybe.
Okay. This episode, I'm sure, is going to spark a lot of. Some people are going to disagree with a lot of stuff we said. They're going to see it a different way because this is one of those cases, man, where it's like people love her, people hate her. She's one way or the other with a lot of people. We're just shooting the shit here, just trying to tell our side of it, see how we see things. We've said before, we're not going to get everything right. Maybe there were some facts in this that weren't correct. We're trying our best. We put a lot of hours into this episode. We put a lot of episodes into Richard Ramirez.
We try to cross-reference things as well. We're not just bullshitting the first facts that we see.
Right. So, I mean, with that in mind, you can give us all the feedback you want. Just keep in mind, we're trying to do our best here. And if you disagree, that we respect your opinion as well.
Absolutely.
On things. And we hope that we didn't disrespect the victims in this case as well. You want to go ahead and you have a nice sultry voice, Mikey. You want to read her last words? When you get executed, they put a microphone up to you right before and they ask you if you have any last words. So we'll go ahead and read that. And then we're going to play the audio from her last interview the day before with Nick Broomfield, where she was going crazy.
So they asked her if she had any last words, and she said, "Yes, I would just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock, and I'll be back, like Independence Day with Jesus. June 6th, like the movie. Big mothership and all. I'll be back. I'll be back."
And with that, we're going to play the audio, and we will see you next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. We
right.
appreciate you all. See you next time.
Hey, keep creeping.
Keep creeping.
What more is there to say about the cops? What more do you want to say about the cops?
A lot of stuff. Did you know that they were surveilling me before I killed? And then I knew it? And that it was covered up? Did you know there was helicopters dropping down from the sky, deputy sheriff, with decoys picking me up 4 or 5 months before my arrest? It was covered up?
But nonetheless,
Nobody ever asked me
whether
these
the
questions.
cops were following you or not, Eileen.
Oh, whether the cops are following me or not, Eileen,
okay,
what?
let's say the cops were following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you
Uh-huh.
and they did everything that you're saying they did.
Uh-huh.
Nonetheless,
Yeah.
you killed 7 men.
Yeah, sure
And I'm
did.
asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And
men?
I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you
but
get it?
Not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to
Oh,
do
you
that.
are lost, Nick.
So
I was a
explain-
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I'd shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets. And then we'll pull her in.
But how
That's
come
why.
there was so much physical trouble in because it was all in 1 year? 7 people in 1
Oh,
year.
well. Oh, well.
But why not say now?
Because I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years in total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing. Couldn't even have my appeals right. You sabotaged my ass, society, and the cops, and the system. A raped woman.